Hi, you guys. Welcome to Gabby's Real Talk. So, I wanted to discuss what I'm currently watching right now. I had a 2 week hiatus, but I'm watching Dexter Original Sin, starring Michael C. Hall as the voiceover, but not actual Dexter. That is actually being played by Patrick Gibson. He is playing the young Dexter, of course, playing off the title of the show, Original Sin. We get to go back and see how Dexter's origin story began as him coming up with the code of ethics with his dad, Harry, and kind of just getting into how he started at Miami Metro PD in Florida. And yeah. And just to let you guys know, this will be filled with spoilers, clearly. I mean, I want to discuss everything that's happened up until now. Okay, so it looks like they're going to have 10 episodes for Dexter Original Sin, and the last episode will, of course, looks like it'll be on February 14th. So let's break down Dexter Original Sin. Okay, so this is what this video will be about. I'll probably have a few more videos discussing just Dexter in general because it's my favorite show. It's my top 3. Dexter, Entourage. I'm trying to think what my third one is. I gotta come back to that. But Dexter and Entourage are my favorite shows, which is like, what? But I really want to discuss Dexter Original Sin. So, as I mentioned earlier, the show has a new character for Dexter. It's not Michael C. Hall. He's doing the voiceover, which is awesome. I don't feel like the show would feel authentic if it didn't have his voiceover. But it's played by Patrick Gibson. We have Deborah Morgan being played by Molly Brown. And we actually have Christina Milian. So I wanted to discuss that as well because I think she's doing a great job. She's Maria LaGuerta, who, Dexter ends up killing in the original show. So it's interesting seeing her young here and how she got her start and then how she becomes, I think, lieutenant, captain, whatever. We also have Sarah Michelle Gellar. I haven't seen her in forever, and she's really good. She's Dexter's boss. Right now, Dexter's just an intern at Miami Metro, so it's interesting seeing everyone being introduced. Then we have Harry Morgan, who's being played by Christian Slater. So that one took me a few episodes to get on board with him. I think maybe the third episode was my favorite so far. Third or fourth, I have to go back, but I'm still not sold on Christian Slater. I'm not. And I'm not sold on this character either. Aaron Spencer, who's like the captain or whatever, he's Harry Morgan's boss. And he's everyone's boss. Christina Milian, Sarah Michelle Gellar, he's everyone's boss. But Patrick Dempsey, I'm like, where's Meredith Grey? I don't know. He looks really good. And I actually had to go look on IMDb to check out who his hairstylist was for the show because I know his wife's a hairstylist. She's not the stylist for the show, but his hair looks good. I had to go check it out. Angel Batista. Okay, that's portrayed by James Martinez. Again, it's kind of hard for me to get on board just because I saw another creator here on YouTube say that it's like they're cosplaying the original cast. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to unsee that. So it's like, it is kind of giving cosplay. I don't know. Batista and his suspenders. Who else do we have? Okay, we have Reno Wilson, Bobby Watt. Okay. Okay, and then the last one I'll discuss is Masuka, and that's played by Alex Shimizu. Okay, if anyone watches Dexter, we know Masuka's laugh. It's too on the nose, and that was one of my first, I think, cons that I noticed about this show is that it's a little too on the nose. And another creator, it might have been the same one, I don't know who it was, but here on YouTube had said, who is this show for? This Original Sin. Okay, I'm not talking about Dexter in general. And I'm looking at my laptop if you see me look down. Sponsor me, HP. But who is this show for? Is it for the original watchers who are obsessed with Dexter, love Dexter and his story, or are you trying to bring on a new audience? Because I've been trying to watch it from a few point of views, which can be a little difficult, but point of view in terms of like what if I started watching this show just from this season, Original Sin? How would I feel about Dexter? If I didn't know the character, I just maybe saw the posters of the show throughout the years and never watched it, but wanted to start with Original Sin. I'm just wondering. I think that could be carried through. If you're a new watcher checking out Original Sin, I think that it would be okay. But as somebody who, again, has watched this for years, it's definitely enticing. And part of me is wondering if this is a money grab because, we also had, what was the other one? Was it, I want to say True Blood. Resurrection. No, New Blood. Right. So we had New Blood in 2021 and through 2022. And that one was okay. I just liked it because I think we were all fiending for like Dexter content. So I know they had great viewership with that, and they were like, you know what, we might as well bring it back. But I'm just wondering what this universe is turning into because I've seen ads for while watching Original Sin of Resurrection. And that's another spin-off of Dexter. So that one's coming out, let's see. It says 2025. And I think I remember the ad saying it's summer of 2025. So, but I just, again, am wondering, oh, it has Uma Thurman. Interesting. I'm just wondering who this series is, who are they trying to, what audience are they looking for? That's kind of like where I'm at right now. And I'm also wondering, how we're going to continue to bring this story out. Because if you watch the original Dexter, all 8 seasons, you'll know that the story kind of ended for people. So are we creating like new stories with Dexter, with Resurrection that's coming out? Because of course, Original Sin is portraying everything that happened leading up to Dexter. It's like, it's weird to say the original Dexter and then Original Sin. I'll just go with that. The Original Sin is leading up to the original Dexter, and then Resurrection that's coming out in the summer will be, I guess, Dexter currently, because in New Blood, spoiler alert, he was shot. Okay, he was shot. Is it Harrison? I love that little boy. Yeah, Harrison Morgan. He's not a little boy anymore, but it's just so crazy to think about. I've just never had a show do this before. I've never been able to look at the show and just see all the parts of it. Because typically with film and television, the plot is of like a story that's in a certain time period. So it just stays there. It might have flashbacks, but you're kind of within this moment watching it. And for this, you can just kind of see the span of everything. So if you are a new watcher, should you start with Original Sin, then go to the original Dexter, then watch Resurrection, and somewhere throw in New Blood? I don't know. I need one of their execs to let me know. I know with Dexter, there were some issues in terms of like the showrunner had quit and came back, whatever. I'm looking at the New York Post right now, and there's an article with the showrunner who is actually directing all 10 episodes for the Original Sin, Clyde Phillips, and it says that this is a show for family. This is, hold on, let me quote this correctly. It's a very humane show, and he's a serial killer. Family show for a serial killer. There's a lot of father-son stuff going on here. However, the Emmy nominee told the Post he does not have a fondness for serial killers. You gotta have at least a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying to idolize them, but it's definitely an interesting topic. Just because Dexter's different and we love him and we are able to relate to this character because he has his code. The code that Harry taught him, which is basically, you don't kill people who don't deserve it. He's like a vigilante. I mean, and we're able to get into the mind of him, which is cool because he, although has little autistic traits, I'll say, he's like a pretty normal person who just has these growing feelings inside of him. But as somebody who watched the original show, knows that he was, what is it, born in blood, meaning he watched his mother be murdered in front of him in a shipping container. And that's where his love, his thirst for like blood spatter analysts and killing came from. But we don't know that. And that's where it gets a little confusing, because if you watch Original Sin before watching the original series, you won't know that. So you're watching all these flashbacks on Original Sin, the current show, of his mom, who is an informant for the police, with Harry Morgan, his father. And you see that she's going through this big drug ring, because her and her partner had gotten caught up with drugs. So, you know, the thing to do is to be an informant for the police. So she's essentially an informant trying to make her way to the top of a drug organization. And through that, you see little Dexter playing around the house. Harry Morgan's just a police officer whose CI is Dexter's mom. And he basically keeps pushing her to get this drug cartel guys, this ring. And through that, Dexter's mom gets killed. And she gets savagely murdered in front of Dexter when he was a little boy in that shipping container and sat in blood for a really long time. And then boom, who adopts him? Harry Morgan. And Dexter doesn't know that in Original Sin, but he knows it in the original show after a while, because he learns out the ice truck killer's his brother, and they had been separated, and his brother actually has a thirst for killing as well. So it just makes you think, is it nature, nurture? Was he always like this? Or did it happen because of what happened in front of him and his brother, his mom being murdered in front of him? So it's kind of interesting. And I understand that this idea can be expounded upon, but again, I'm just wondering who this show is for. Because, you know, it could be for me, my type of audience, where we've been here from the beginning, and you bet you darn tootin' I'm going to be watching all of these. I'm going to be rating them. So as I mentioned, we are currently on episode 7. Episode 8 should be coming next week. We had that 2-week hiatus, so it should be coming back. And here's another quote from that news article, the New York Post, from Clyde Phillips, the showrunner, saying, "I hate serial killers," he explains, "but I love this serial killer because he kills for good, and he kills people who have fallen through the cracks and are arguably deserve to die. Each time he takes that person out, he's stopping them from killing other people, thereby saving hundreds and maybe thousands of lives." It's like natural selection or whatever. That person is no longer in business because Dexter took them out of business. Phillips is excited for fans to see the new show because it is an opportunity for the audience to see the formation. So, you figure that one out. But, and this is the last quote I'll read. He notes that when we first met Dexter, he was 35 years old, he was fully formed, he was living with a woman, and now we meet him as a college student who has never kissed a girl and doesn't know how to hug his own sister. So it's a lot about family. Dexter is actually a book, okay? The book is Darkly Dreaming Dexter. It was published in 2004. And it's funny because I actually read this book when I was in high school, which was like 2009 through 2012. So I probably read it around like 2010, because I remember going to the library and I kept hearing about Dexter, and I was like, I want to read his book. And I read that book, and I was basically salivating at it. I was like, oh my God, this is my type of show. Like, this is dark. Like, this is like what I wanted to watch outside of drama and comedy. I was like, this is so interesting. For the people who have those thoughts, not to say I do. But I started watching Dexter my freshman year of college, and I'll just give you guys a quick story. I started watching Dexter because I worked at Cracker Barrel, and I was working at Cracker Barrel, and I was working the morning shift, and we opened at like, I don't know, 6 or 7 in the morning, and I worked the cashier where you have to go pay, like after you eat. It's like the little gift shop. So I was the cashier standing there yawning, And when you work places, you have regulars. So I saw the regulars that would come in. It's usually old timers in the morning. They come in, get their breakfast every day, every other day. So this guy I noticed would come in. He wore glasses, a button-up shirt, like typical, I don't know, quiet guy, older, and he would come in like Wednesday mornings, I think, and he would sit at the same table. Hostess didn't seat him. He just went and sat there, just him. Came in every Wednesday morning. So he came in, and I would talk to him as he would pay for his bill and leave. And I remember we got onto the topic of shows, and he said, "Have you ever watched the show Dexter?" And I said, "No, I don't have that channel. It was Showtime. I had every other channel but that." And I was like, "I've been wanting to watch it." And he said, "Okay, I'll bring you something next week." And I was like, "Okay." He came in next Wednesday, the following Wednesday or whatever, and he brought me a burned copy of the first season. And he wrote on it, Dexter season 1. And he said, "This is for you. I burned it for you." And I said, "What?" This is so old school. And I just was so excited. And this was before binging. So I didn't even know really what binging was. But I remember he gave me that, and I binged that shit. And I was like fiending for the next season. So he comes in the next Wednesday, asked me about season 1, brought me season 2. For 8 weeks, he brought me a copy of the seasons, and I still have it at my mom's house, but they're all handwritten, Dexter season through whatever, and I got to watch that show because of him. And the weird part is, I don't remember this. I don't know if I remember too well. Either he stopped coming after the last season that he gave me, or I quit. I don't remember what it was, but something about it gave me a weird feeling, because I'm like, where'd that guy go? Are you trying to send me a message? I don't know. What a way to watch a show about a fucking serial killer. Some ominous guy comes in once a week and gives me a burned version of it. I don't know. I was like, nice. So yeah, I have Dexter on CD, and that was the first show I'm pretty sure I binge watched.